unable to go anywhere else and you're cornered, you should actually use bankruptcy as the very last resort. I mean, a lot of people think that it's almost like restarting again. So many of us are actually really busy in our lives. It makes a lot of sense because we have to go to work and then come back, and we have that busy schedule, and sometimes it's really easy to forget about a lot of things around us, especially with our personal finance. And in today's vlog, I'd like to just talk about some of those financial traps. And some of them you may have probably heard of already, but some of them might be new to you. So let's start talking about them. So the first point I'd like to mention would be taking out food on a regular basis. So that means getting fast food or those frozen dinners from the grocery stores. It does add up, and it adds up in the hundreds of dollars. So it's always best to really, if you're looking to save a lot of money, it's good to make your own lunches, brown bag it, bring it to work, and also at home. There's several ways you can cook to save your money, like preparing your weekly dinners on the weekends. Freeze them up and put them in a freezer there, and maybe portion them out so you can eat them throughout the whole week. But that's definitely a way for you to save a lot of money, and it's a financial trap if you constantly take out food. You just have to simply look at your credit card statement, and you'll see that it really adds up into hundreds of dollars if you're not aware of what you're purchasing there for your takeouts and frozen foods. So another financial trap that you may not be aware of would be not having an emergency fund. So there are certain emergencies in all of our lives, like unemployment, for example, or a house repair or a car repair. You want to always have some money stored on the side there for those incidents that do occur unexpectedly. And you should roughly have about 3 to 6 months worth, just to cover the costs that you'll definitely need to pay for while you're looking for a job, for example. Especially nowadays, it's really good to have an emergency fund. So it gives you time to, look for another job. And then, it's always good to have that emergency fund because it acts as a buffer, and you actually don't really notice the damage that it does to your overall, worth if you do have an emergency fund, because it'll cover it easily. So yeah, it's a peace of mind as well to have a little extra money in your emergency fund. But you also want to have an emergency fund that's actually not easily accessible, because there's no point in really having an emergency fund if you're able to access it easily. So you may want to open up an emergency fund for another banking institution, just so there's a separation there, and make it so it's not as easy to access, like maybe cutting off a debit card for it or something. So yeah, that's another point as well. So the next financial trap would be in definitely not tracking your spending. So that basically means you have some undisciplined spending. So whatever your heart desires with that credit card that creates money from nothing. But yeah, it's very easy to get into that trap. So yeah, especially if you have the almighty credit card, you can satisfy that moment of instant gratification, and it's easy to really not keep track of the things financially. And what we do is we actually have an Excel spreadsheet, and we actually use some other apps as well. There's a whole bunch of them absolutely for free, and then creating that Excel sheet maybe takes couple hours to do, but once you do, you don't have to think too much about it in the future. But you track all your spending, and you can even figure out how much you can spend on the things that you want as well. So you're not completely depriving yourself, but it's a good way to really keep what you're spending on a sheet, so you can know exactly where the money is coming in and where the money is going out to. So another point would be to not to identify your protection insurances. For example, your home owner's insurance, your car insurance, maybe life insurance as well. You never know. There might be, it might actually go together with emergency fund, but emergency fund is only for those expenses that are not as extensive, like a car repair as an example. But then for these insurances, you might actually have to pay even more money. It might be a financial trap if you don't have those proper insurances in place to cover yourself, because one little mistake could ruin your entire financial future if you don't have the proper insurances that will protect you from them. Because obviously it's always best to protect your life and your property. Otherwise, those really strike to the core of your finances, and you always want to be fit, by exercising all the time. But you always have that peace of mind though, having that life insurance just in case for your family members, so they don't encounter any kinds of hardship in the future. So yeah, we actually don't mind putting our money in for those insurances at all. It actually feels pretty good to have that, peace of mind. And we would gladly pay extra to have those insurances in place. So it's definitely a financial trap that you may want to look at as well. And so another financial trap that you may not be aware of, or you might actually be aware of, would be the home that you purchase. So all of us want to achieve that American dream in having that big, fabulous house that we're planning to live in for a very long time. And we spare no expense to get it, no matter what. So that purchase is usually based on emotion. And it could definitely be a financial trap, especially when you're not thinking about the further future up ahead. Maybe if you're thinking of financial independence, we actually didn't purchase such a large home. We actually, stayed in a pretty small property, and we eventually paid it off, and now we're renting it out. So it worked out pretty good for us because we actually thought about our financial future and what we would do. And we felt that if we were to buy that $1 million home, we'd probably be trapped in that mortgage for a very, very long time. So for us, it was actually turned out much better when we thought small other than big, because the North American mentality is the bigger the better. So if you can overcome that feeling of the bigger the better, you'll find that it will be very beneficial for you in the future. So another financial trap would be the credit card, right? People who don't have emergency fund, what they do is they tap right into their credit card to pay for all of those emergency situations that they encounter. And overspending on the credit card, creating money from nothing, just creates that debt for you. And it's overall, in the longer term, it's the worst thing you can do for your personal finance, really. So it's always important to have an emergency fund to tap into for usage of those emergencies. But of course, those credit card interests are extremely high as well. I mean, they allow you to pay the minimum amount, but still that really does add up. And it's not really worth it for you in the longer term. So another financial trap that a lot of people have is they actually don't have a financial plan for their future. So for us, we actually had a 15-year plan. So it was split up into 5 separate years, and we always try to make our goals. One of our goals was actually to hit $100,000, which we did, and then which we used to invest and grow our dividends and our other investments. So you always want to have a financial plan. And you can actually use a professional service, but there's a whole bunch of different gurus out there that can help you out with making those plans out as well. We actually didn't have a financial planner. We just did it all ourselves, and it turned out pretty good. But bottom line, you want to live below your means and save and invest, and that is a key point. Try and maintain that for the next 15-year period, and you'll do quite well, actually. So another financial trap would be with debt collectors knocking at your door. We have not personally experienced it before, but my friend definitely has, and it's not a very good feeling at all. And he had to actually move his debt around, and I believe he used multiple credit cards to do so, hopping funds from one credit card onto another and then lumping it all together. But anyway, the point was, he had to go through all of these things that were such a pain in the butt, and it actually ruined his credit rating as well. So, you know, you really want to keep your credit rating in prime, because it does affect you getting a house or a car. Most likely, even if you have a bad credit score, you could still get a car, but they'll probably give you the worst rate possible. So you want to keep that in mind. Same for housing as well. You have to have a particular credit score in order to qualify to get a mortgage. And sometimes, you know, even for getting a job, your credit rating matters as well. A lot of people aren't aware of that. You know, some of the interviewers actually check your credit score, and it's come to a day and age where even getting a partner, you know, sometimes getting a girlfriend or boyfriend, people don't really realize that sometimes it's kind of like entering a business contract too. And people don't like me saying that, you know, because relationships should be based on love. But another financial trap would be to declare bankruptcy. So this was a very, very hard one. And you know, if you're ever in a situation where you're financially unable to go anywhere else and you're cornered, you should actually use bankruptcy as the very, very last resort. I mean, a lot of people think that it's almost like restarting again, but it actually causes a lot of issues later on in your life in purchasing anything, actually. So if you're in that, basically you never want to be in that financial trap of bankruptcy. So another financial trap would definitely be in not creating a brokerage account. I mean, a lot of people actually are afraid of the stock market, and the thing is, the only place you can get yield nowadays, other than real estate, which is really expensive for the majority of people, given that it's the most expensive purchase you can make in your life, but the only yield you can get is probably from the stock market, right? So creating that passive income from you know, dividends or index funds or ETFs, and actually investing into your company matching 401k. Those are some of the things you really want to focus on for your future financial situation, definitely, because you want to look at it as, you know, securing your future, growing your net worth. And let's say if you had $100,000, you can actually potentially double that balance in a 10-year period if you get a return of 67%. So looking at that, it isn't such a bad idea to really grow your passive income streams. And that's essentially what we did too. And that's why we are living in financial independence today, because we did our research, we bought our passive income from dividend paying stock. Majority of our portfolio is individually selected stocks that give good solid yields from companies that are very stable. They've been giving us dividends for close to 10 years now, and even prior to that they were giving dividends, especially our bank stocks, for 150 years, so, or more for some of them. So it's definitely a great investment. So you definitely don't want to be in that financial trap where you decide not to buy into the stock market or into bonds just because you're afraid. I understand that there is fear for the stock market, but you really have to overcome that and do your research. You can actually work together with somebody as well, a financial advisor, but it's actually best to actually figure things out yourself, because some of those financial advisors, they get commission, so they're actually looking out for themselves and looking out for the company interest. So that's why it's good to really take some time and do the research yourself on the weekends or something, and then yeah, put that savings into better usage, into investing into the stock market. But yeah, another financial trap would be to not look at your company benefits, you know, and looking at the 401k, the company matching 401k, as I mentioned. I mean, it's essentially free money you're getting from the company. Like depending on what kind of company you do work for, they give you like 3 to 5%, sometimes even doubling it for some companies, the contributions that you make on a monthly basis. And it's automatic as well. It gets deducted straight off of your paycheck. So it's actually, by automating it, you pay yourself first. So you're forcing your paycheck to go directly into your retirement fund. So and as we all know, the pension system is disappearing. Whenever we think about the pension, we think about government benefits, but really those companies that are the blue chip companies with 500 employees plus are slowly getting rid of their pensions as well. So it's really your responsibility now to take care of your retirement fund. Well, I think I have my vlog here today. Tell me what you think of all of the financial traps that I mentioned today in the comment section below. If you like this vlog, please don't forget to give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell for more of my coming content here. Thank you for watching my vlog. Be free, gain wealth, and travel far.